tinyurl.com and idea YouTube. We haven't started it. It's going to start now. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so it is a 401.
We are live on YouTube now.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it. It's good. What do you mean by that?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Just a minute, Alia. Just a minute. Okay. I just want to give a couple of minutes because people are just signing in. There are 23 so far.
Okay, that's good.
Good. So, Rahil, you must be from Boston, right? You're in Boston now?
Yep,
okay.
I am.
Okay. Nida is from Houston, so.
Alhamdulillah, so good to see Rahil, Nidu, and Consul by Dr. Marshall. Welcome all the youth. Alhamdulillah.
Very good, very good. 24.
There's also more youth who are in the list. Ryan is there, and then
Oh yeah.
Ahmed is there. Shahul Hamid is there.
MashaAllah, Rayan. Shaul Media, we are all welcome on board. MashaAllah. So good to have all of you.
Daud is here.
Yeah.
There's also more youth who are in the list. Ryan is there.
Okay, shall we get started?
Yes.
Okay, so Alia, please go ahead.
Okay, so Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to our session today. Inshallah, we will begin shortly. I request Brother Rayan to begin the Quran recitation if he is ready.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولله غيب السماوات والأرض وما أمر الساعة إلا كلمح البصر أو هو أقرب إن الله على كل شيء قدير والله أخرجكم من بطون أمهاتكم لا تعلمون شيئا وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة لعلكم تشكرون ألم يروا إلى الطير مسخرات في جو السماء ما يمسكهن إلا الله إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يؤمنون والله جعل لكم من بيوتكم سكنا وجعل لكم من جلود الأنعام بيوتا تستخفونها يوم ظعنكم ويوم إقامتكم ومن أصوافها وأوبارها وأشعارها أثاثا ومتاعا إلى حين والله جعل لكم مما خلق ظلالا وجعل لكم من الجبال أكنانا وجعل لكم سرابيل تقيكم الحر وسرابيل تقيكم بأسكم كذلك يتم نعمته عليكم لعلكم تسلمون فإن تولوا فإنما عليك البلاغ المبين يعرفون نعمة الله ثم ينكرونها وأكثرهم الكافرون صدق الله العظيم. Assalamu alaikum everybody. I read Surah Nahl verses 75 to 83. In these verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Allah says in verse 77, to Allah alone belongs the knowledge of the unseen in the heavens and the earth. Bringing about the hour would only take the blink of an eye or even less. Surely Allah is most capable of everything. Then Allah continues in verse 78, and Allah brought you out the wombs of your mothers while you knew nothing, and He gave hearing, sight, and intellect. So perhaps you would be thankful. Have they not seen the birds glide in the open sky? None holds them up except Allah. Surely in this are signs for those who believe. Allah continues to tell us all the blessings He has given us. He tells us, Allah has made your homes a place to rest, and He has given you tents from the hide of the animals, light to handle when you travel and when you camp, and out the wool, fur, and hair. He has given you furnishings and goods for a while. And Allah has provided you shade out of what He created, and has given you shelter in the mountain. He has also provided you with clothes, protecting you from the heat and cold, and armor shielding you in battle. This is how He perfects His favor upon you. So perhaps you will fully submit to Him. But if they turn away, then your duty, O Prophet, is to only deliver the message clearly. And that is a translation of what I have recited.
MashaAllah, that was a beautiful recitation and translation. So, Assalamu alaikum again to those of you who may have just joined. On behalf of the IDEA organization, I would like to welcome and thank you all for joining this wonderful speaker session. My name is Alia Sherfin, and I am a junior at Centennial High School, aspiring to pursue a career in the healthcare field. We are fortunate to have the IDEA organization do great things for our community, both here and in India. It is our goal to plan and put together lots of youth programs like this one. I would like to encourage everyone to participate and support these initiatives. This will help us develop our career and leadership activities. Mashallah, we will have a panel discussion with 2 great speakers and a respectful moderator. Moreover, we are truly honored to learn that these 2 speakers are from our own community and went to the local ISD. There is a lot to learn from them for the career perspective. So without further ado, I ask Brother Muhammad Hafi to introduce the moderator.
Assalamu alaikum. Brother Abdul Muhyiddin is a long-term Plano resident. He has been in Plano since 1989. He is a teacher and a telecom engineer with 25 years of industry experience. He is also an investor. He teaches in Collin College and Lakeland University. He has 2 master's degrees, one in MS Computer Science and another in MS Physics. He volunteers mentoring and coaching youngsters in career counseling. He also enjoys tutoring physics for high school students.
Thank you, brother. I will now introduce one of our speakers today, Brother Rahil. Rahil is a co-founder of Z Imaging, a startup that creates neurosurgical guidance and robotic tools to make surgery safer, faster, and more accurate. He graduated from Harvard in 2018 with a BA in computer science in the Mind, Brain, Behavior program. Having done prior research in epigenomic factors affecting cancer and on reconstructing the human neural connectome, Rahil has extensive experience in computational biology and is interested in the intersection of technology and medicine. While not working, Rahil can be spotted baking desserts or taking photographs of the scenic Boston landscape. Now, I ask Sister Fozul Kansul to introduce Sister Nida.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. We also have Sister Nida on the panel today. Nida is currently a first-year medical student at the UT Health McGovern Medical School in Houston. She graduated from the University of Houston through a combined medical program with a BS in biomedical sciences and a minor in medical humanities. She is particularly interested in the field of neuroscience and has conducted research studying the modulation of brain cells in the auditory cortex of mice to determine their connectivity. When she isn't studying, Nida can be found next to her cat, embroidering, writing, or exploring nature.
Now, I ask the respectful community member, Brother Ghulam Mohideen, to start the panel discussion.
You have to unmute yourself, Ghulam Bhai.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. First of all, I want to thank you for the great introduction. And I just want to give an outline of what the program is going to be for the next 40 minutes or so. So my questions are going to be geared towards youth, basically the courses they are going to be taking in high school, like senior as well as college level courses. And then I'm going to be asking questions that are going to be used for their career. So basically, I'm going to be covering like 4 different segments, starting from school all the way up to career. Okay. So what I want the audience is to pay attention to what they're going to say and take notes if you wish, or if you need to, please take notes and also write down the questions you may have. And please don't interrupt when they are talking. Please write down the questions. And at the end of the session, we will have some time for you to ask questions. Okay. So having said that, the format of the program that I'm going to be involved is asking questions. And the questions will be basically for both the speakers, Nida as well as Rahil. And some of the questions may not be applicable to both. I know there are more questions for Rahil than Nida. So right after I ask the question, one of them will start answering the question, depending on whoever wants to go first. they can answer the question, and then the other person will take over. Okay, so get ready. And the first question is all about school education. So Rahil and Nida, please tell us about your education starting from school and how your parents were actually involved in shaping your future, like motivating and guiding. You know, when kids actually start taking courses in senior high, junior high, all the way to college and all that, you know, the parents actually part a major role. Sometimes, you know, the Indian parents actually try to push them to go for either medicine or, you know, things like that, you know. But the students, you know, the kids may not have the same type of orientation. You know, they may have a different focus in their mind with respect to what they want to do in their life. So I would like for both of you to share your ideas, like how your parents were involved in shaping your future career, you know, when you were both in school. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so our parents were involved in our education from a very early age. So even in elementary school, they would put us in like tutoring classes. And at the beginning, they sort of gave us room to shop around and try out all different kinds of fields. So we were exposed to literature, history, math, science, more or less everything. And over time, we sort of chose the ones that we liked a bit more. So I was interested in computer science and math for the most part. And starting in about middle school, that's where I put more of my effort into. And so my parents would be super helpful in picking me up late from school if I were to do some extracurricular activity afterwards. I joined the robotics club, and they would take me to all the meetings or competitions, even if they were pretty far away. And starting in high school, I started to take more AP classes, and those were really helpful in preparing me for college to sort of see something on the difficulty level that college courses are on. And so by taking these AP courses, not only was I more ready to study for like college level difficulty material, but they also prepared me for the coursework itself. So since I'd already done AP chemistry, for example, I could take introductory chemistry in college and not struggle too much with it.
Okay, thank you, Rahil. Nida, you want to go ahead? You want to say something?
Yeah. So my brother like talked about a lot that I might just echo, but yeah, like he said, our parents are very involved in our education. They were really supportive, like growing up and everything. They like took a lot of time out of their schedules to tutor us and to basically like invest a lot into our education. And like he said, whatever like extracurriculars we wanted to do, they were super supportive about letting us stay after school and like driving all the way from work to pick us up and basically like adjusting their schedules around us. So that was always like very helpful. And then yeah, also like he said about letting us explore a lot of different things. I was always, so he was very interested in like computer science. So I remember like growing up, he would always make a ton of video games and that was always super cool. For me, I wasn't interested in computer science. I was also, I think, a little bit more artsy. I liked art things more. And so my parents would always like help me like explore my hobbies and do all of that. Yeah, and so AP classes, like Rahul said, are super helpful. They can help you take out a lot of classes like that you would otherwise have to repeat in college. If you take the AP classes, you might end up not having to repeat those in college. It can be super helpful for, I don't know, maybe you're taking another more challenging class. You can spend more time studying for that. And also, like he said, it is super helpful with the material. Like I remember taking physics. I took multiple physics classes in high school. And I'm not sure if it's still the same. I think like we had AP Physics 1, AP Physics 2, AP Physics C. There are literally like 5 different AP Physics classes. But I took all of them, and taking all of them was really helpful in college because a lot of the material would be very similar and it would help a lot. And while other people were struggling, you know, you don't struggle as much and you can even help other people as well. So yeah.
All right, thank you so much. You know what? I know your parents for many, many years, and I know how much actually they struggled for your education, dropping you in school and then picking you up for extracurricular activities, and so much, they have actually put forward in order to bring you up to this point. And mashallah, you both are having very lucky parents, very, you have to be thankful for them actually. And moving on to my next question. So far we have covered basically the school education, right? And it's very interesting to see that both of you have really excelled, not only in a particular area. I mean, you have taken courses in chemistry, physics, computer science. I mean, you have covered, a lot of major courses, major important courses actually. The other thing at this point I would like to emphasize is that when you take a major, chemistry or physics major, keep in mind that computer science is also a very important subject. I mean, you can go to any industry now, and without knowing computers and how they work, you cannot survive actually. Everything, medicine, once upon a time, you don't use computers actually, but now everything is, it's all automated, monitoring, testing. There's so much, that's done by computers and robotics actually. So please keep in mind, all the audience, all the youth, please keep in mind that, computer science is very important. No matter what your major is going to be, please take some courses in computer science, okay? So the next segment of the program is to ask you about your college life, what kind of courses specifically you took, and the other accomplishments during your college. The courses that you took to fulfill your career, and how they accomplished actually the other accomplishment during your college, such as you may be participating in extracurricular activities in college, mentoring other students, spending time with the voluntary work, all those things. I know the voluntary work is actually part of your career, because when you apply for a job, your voluntary work is very important. You can actually put that in your resume, and that actually helps. So please cover that as well, in this segment. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so sorry, I just blinked. So college, I really liked college. So my college experience, I think, was a little different from a lot of people's, because so I was a part of a combined medical program, and essentially what that is you apply for it during high school at the same time you're applying for all of your other colleges. But at the same time, you're also applying for med school. So getting into a program essentially means that you have guaranteed admission into medical school. So my combined medical program, it was also accelerated. So usually college is 4 years and med school is also 4 years. But for me, my college was only 3 years and med school is still 4 years. So instead of 8 years total, it's 7 years total. But because of that, so because my college experience, I guess, was a year shorter than most people's, a lot of my classes I had to take a lot of different classes together, and I didn't really have room to explore, I guess, like different other subjects. Like there was a list of required classes that I had to take, and those are the subjects that I had to take. I couldn't take like other ones. So combined medical programs are really good if you know like medicine is something that you want to do. It's a really big commitment as well. And it's definitely like a lot of workload. I remember like the first couple of years especially, I would stay up super late at night studying, wake up super early to study. It was a lot of studying. I think the third year was a little bit better because I was able to get most of the required classes done early on. But yeah, so it was a very big commitment, but it was also like very enjoyable as well. In terms of extracurriculars, those are also very important, especially if you're not doing, I guess, like a combined medical program, because if you're just going the traditional route, they tend to look at your resume and like your extracurriculars and everything at a lot higher level. So leadership positions and extracurriculars are always good. I would recommend doing an extracurricular that you're really interested in and really passionate about. personally, me, I know there are a lot of different pre-med organizations that people choose to be a part of, and those can be really helpful if you don't really know, how to go about getting volunteer experience or shadowing experience or things like that. But a lot of people also do just join the pre-med societies for the resume. And neither me or my brother, we joined one. Like neither of us joined one, I think. I don't think he did as well. And we chose to instead like join organizations that we really liked and we were like super passionate about. So if you go to an organization like that also has a really good cause and you can get a leadership position in that, all of that is really good for your resume and applying for everywhere.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Rahil, you want to say something?
Yeah, so my college experience was a lot more different because I didn't really have much of an idea of what I wanted to do after college when I was going in. So I started out as a computer science major, but like Sister Alia mentioned, I didn't do a pure computer science major. I did something called the Mind-Brain Behavior program, which essentially replaced half of my computer science classes with neurobiology and psychology classes. And so lots of colleges have these sorts of special tracks or different programs where you can customize your education sort of more how you want. And so in the end, I ended up taking only 6 computer science classes, even though my degree is in computer science. And I was able to supplement it with like neurobiology, cognition and the brain, or like disease and neuroscience. And so by doing this sort of separate program, I was able to get education into more different fields at the same time. And that helped me a lot with deciding what I wanted to do afterwards. As for extracurriculars, I didn't really do too many. I was just involved with the Islamic Society at our school. And through that, we were able to do lots of like volunteering and community events together. And even just like hosting these events and putting them on taught me a lot about event planning, management, even like making plans in case things go wrong. And so it was really helpful for me to be part of the Islamic Society, though it's not exactly something that I put on my resume because it's not quite applicable to my job. And as for other professional organizations, my freshman year, I sort of tried a couple. I was actually in the finance organization as well as a pre-med organization and a computer science organization. But after second semester freshman year, I sort of stepped away from those and just focused on Islamic Society, which was the thing that I was most interested in. And then going on to the later years of the college, instead of doing sort of extracurriculars that the college had, I made my own extracurricular in a sense, which is Z Imaging, the startup that I'm doing now. And that's how I sort of got into that and why I'm working on it now as well.
All right, thank you. Based on what you both said, it looks like you achieved so much actually. I mean, so much accomplishment. There are certain areas even I cannot even follow actually, like a neuroscience associated with computer science, how it can be combined together. I mean, there are so many things, I don't know how much of information that you provided can be used by the youth participating in this program right now, but the youth has to be carefully analyze the information that you provided and focus on particular areas actually. As Rahil mentioned, there's so much information he just provided, but it's a very important thing that you have to focus your mind on what you want to do actually. There's a lot of job opportunities in different areas, but you cannot put your feet on all at the same time, right? I know people who go to college, sometimes, they choose a major and then a couple of years later they change, not because they don't like it, but also because the peer pressure. Some of their friends want to go from computer science to biology and vice versa. You don't need to do the same thing. Just because your friends are doing something, you don't need to do the same thing actually. So keep that in mind. If you do that, you're going to be spending more time in college And also you are going to burn your parents' pocketbook actually. If they are paying money for you, please keep in mind that your effort is more important than your parents' efforts actually. They can only provide you financial support and help you to get some scholarship and things like that. But you are going to study, you are going to, take the exam, and it's your life. So, please keep that in mind. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And moving on to the next one, this is completely related to the scholarships. And there's a lot of companies that also offer grants, like thousands of companies, thousands of scholarships are available. People may not even know about it. So please tell us about any scholarships or other grants that you received and how you were able to get it, both in school and college. I know you probably got something, financial assistance in college, but if you got something in school as well, you can share the information. Thank you.
Yeah, so as for me, since I chose to go to a private university, the university itself didn't offer me too much by means of merit-based scholarships. So they have a lot of financial aid scholarships for my school, but not that many merit-based stuff. So for me, I had to sort of look outside of the system itself. So there are websites that you can use that just have like lists of scholarships and different organizations that provide scholarships to different people. It's like, this is a scholarship given specifically to, I saw one that was a scholarship specifically for people who are short. So there's all kinds of crazy scholarships for like very niche groups. And I actually found a scholarship in arts and music theory. So I was very involved in like the art club in my high school. And through that, I would sort of make works like cardboard models or like 3D printed sculptures.
Okay.
And that was actually the biggest scholarship that I got, despite me being mostly computer science and neuroscience based. So scholarships can really come from like a wide variety of sources. There's also scholarships for doing well on the SAT or ACT, and our school counselor also was very helpful because she had this giant list. She'd read through it and she knew for every student which scholarships that they'd stand a better chance at getting. So just like taking advantage of like all of the resources that people have available for you and asking them for help was really helpful in sort of financing some of the costs of college for me.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rahil. Nida?
Yeah,
Do you have
so
anything?
sorry, my university had more merit-based scholarships, so that's actually where I got most of my scholarships from. A lot of universities that you'll apply to, they'll have specific scholarships that you can also apply for at the same time. So it's really important to like go into their websites and always find those pages because they tend to have a lot. So for my undergraduate years, I had a full ride for the first 2 years, which paid for tuition and also housing for the first couple of years, and also it paid for part of like the meal plan at the dining halls on campus. And these are all scholarships that came from the university's website itself. So if you look like into their websites, you'll find like a ton of different scholarships that you can apply for. I remember my university also had a specific page, kind of like the one that Rahul was talking about, where it listed a ton of like external scholarships that you could also apply for. And yeah, they have like a ton of different categories for a ton of different things, whatever you're interested in. Whether you like writing, they have a ton of different scholarships for writing. And like he mentioned, art, science, there are especially a lot for, they're starting to make a lot more for women specifically, and also people of color. So these are all scholarships that you can like look into and apply for, and inshallah, like that should help a lot.
All right. I have a quick question for you, both of you actually. Are there any scholarships or grants that you can actually apply through companies? And basically, sometimes, you actually make a promise that you are going to be working for the company after you graduate. Is that true? Can you actually work with companies and make a promise that you're going to be working with a company after you graduate, and they actually cover all the, I mean, some of the educational expenses? Is it possible?
So I haven't seen too many companies that give you scholarships before you actually start working for them. There are some companies like, or some colleges actually, like Lambda School. They're in a class known as, I forget the term, but the way it works is you go to their school and the tuition itself is free. But after you graduate, the school itself helps you with getting a job and job placement. And they take a portion of your income for the next like 5 years, let's say, after you graduate. And so there's many schools like this. Make School is another one, Lambda School. Those are the two big ones that I've heard about. But this income sharing agreement thing is something that I've seen a lot of universities recently start to get into. And as for the company side of things, there are plenty of like banks, computer science firms that allow you to get higher education after college, where it's like if you work for the company for at least 1 year, they will pay for 2 courses for you at a university per semester. So I know a lot of my friends who are in industry right now are doing this sort of arrangement where they work for the company and they get their like extension classes paid for or their night classes paid for. And many companies are really open to like furthering the education of their employees because that makes them better at doing their job in the end anyways.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. My next question is going to be, it's like it's going to cover many areas. It's a big question, and it's going to cover a lot of different areas. So let me just state the question first, and then you can decide whoever wants to go first. Because some of the things that I'm going to be asking does not apply to Nidhi actually, because it's more career oriented. Okay, so as far as tell us about your current job, your company, and other responsibilities from a business perspective, such as raising capital, right? Entrepreneurship, raising capital, new product development, marketing, sales, advertising, customer relation management, and how big the company is you're managing, how you are going to be hiring, what kind of strategy you use to hire the people with key talents, right? So this is actually from a business perspective, and I want you to give specific details on what people can do, aspiring entrepreneurs, people who are in college, what they can do in order to achieve some or all of these key aspects of business. Yeah, please go ahead.
So this is a bit of a long question, and so it might be better to move a lot of this into like question and answer session later. But
Okay.
I can sort of just give a general overview of everything, and then if there's like anything specific people want to know, they can ask about it after this. But I started Z Imaging in junior year of college just as a side project, essentially. And since I was in college, I was able to just work on it in my free time. This is part of why I didn't do as many extracurriculars as, say, most people who are in college would do. But while working on Z Imaging, we sort of developed a very basic system to do neurosurgery using computer vision and robotics. And in my senior year of college, I wanted to continue working on it after college. So my school has this center called the Innovation Lab. And many schools have something like this, like a business development center, an entrepreneurship center. So I would go to the Innovation Lab and speak to the people there, and they would introduce me to investors, both big investors as well as like family offices and even individuals who are doing investing. And through that, we were able to get a very, very small amount of investment. And that was good enough to cover us for 1 year after I graduated. And so right after graduating, I started working on the company, and we would use that investment to pay ourselves, buy equipment, and in general, just like develop relationships and sort of build the product better, test it as well. And over time, we started hiring more people. First, our classmates that we knew from undergrad who we already trusted and had worked with on projects before, as well as putting out job forms on like Google Jobs or the university job portal, or even other universities' job portals as well. And so that's how we sort of collect resumes. And we'd get something like 200, 300 resumes and have to go through them, shortlist the ones we'd want. We set up an interview process along with a game for the interview. And so in the interview game, it was sort of like a game where you need to use your computer science or mechanical engineering to solve a toy problem that we've set out. And just watching people work on the toy problem informed us a lot about their thought processes, how they ask for help, how they like decide on which path to solve to find an answer. And that helped us hire our second employee, who's a mechanical engineer, as well as pretty much every single intern that we've had over the company's lifespan. And yeah, so our company isn't, so what we do generally is we make a surgical navigation system, which is a sort of station that a surgeon can put patient scans on, so MRI or CT scans. And then they can use the system to navigate within the brain while doing a procedure. So if there's a cancer that needs a biopsy, or if the brain ventricles are filling with fluid, then they can load up the patient's CT or MRI scan and use it to position their tools in the right way to successfully perform the procedure. And so a lot of this is stuff that we didn't really have any experience in or didn't know. Like even if we have a basic understanding of computer science, engineering, and biology, there's a lot that we had to learn. So we would go to the hospital, speak with doctors, ask them, what problems are you having? And how do you think the best ways of solving this are? And so we'd ask like 20 doctors about this, and then record all of the interviews, come back and read through all of the interviews, highlight terms that many doctors said, and sort of customize the product to meet that user need and meet the user requirements in the end. And then we also had to learn about the FDA approval process. So whenever you make any kind of medical device, the Food and Drug Administration has to approve it. And so we would reach out to something like consultants. So there's FDA consultants who talk to you about your product and tell you which pathway is correct for you and what you need to do to get that approval, what kinds of tests you need. So because of all of this, we did like tests on cadavers or like dead heads, for example, and also tests on animals. So we just finished some sheep tests a couple of months ago. And yeah, I think that covers it.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Nida, do you have anything to share? I know you're still in college. So
We have a company. I can't really answer these questions.
inshallah, hopefully something will work out in the next couple of years.
Inshallah.
Yeah, talking about what the information Rahil provided, it looks like he has a wealth of information actually. I mean, there's so much he knows about both technology as well as academics, as well as the business application side of the product actually, right? And he just mentioned, if I understand it right, that he has to work with the FDA, right? Rahil?
Yeah.
So you have to work with the FDA. So you actually talk to some people in FDA, or you have your own experts that interface like a liaison with the FDA to get the approval?
So more or less both. We have our consulting firm, which we speak to prepare the documents and prepare the meeting minutes for the FDA meetings. And we have these meetings with the FDA. So we recently had a pre-submission meeting where we talked to them about our product and proposed to them what we plan to do. So we would propose to them, here's our product. We plan to follow the 510K class 2 medical device route, which is some specific route that they have. And we want to present data on cadavers as well as data on 3D printed phantom models of the head. And we would ask them, do you think that this route is appropriate for us? Do you think that we've met all of the risks? Do you think that we're mitigating the risks appropriately? And they would come back to us with answers during this meeting itself. So for example, one thing they told us is, we don't think that you've mitigated the risk of the patient moving enough. We either want you to build into your system a way to detect patient movement, or we want you to create your system in such a way that the patient is clamped to the table while the procedure is taking place. And so we took that feedback, and now we're discussing internally which of these we'll do. And then after we implement these, we'd have another meeting with the FDA to talk to them about like the changes we've made and if that's appropriate. And we're also building on the side a robotics platform that will soon go through the exact same process, where you need to have the pre-submission meeting, where you revise the pre-submission meeting, where you do the submission, and then after that discuss with them the submission.
Okay. I can understand that from the time you actually graduated up until now, you know, you have gone through so many steps, you have achieved so much. And I want you to share some information about, you know, the financial aspects of, you know, how much you actually invested and the growth potential, the time taken, you know. I mean, it's a very hard question, actually, you know, not everybody can answer the question, and the question may not be applicable to everybody, actually, right? So the field you are working is very challenging because it is, it's got a lot of applications in the medical and biological areas. So I think it's a very prospective area, actually. But at the same time, you know, it requires a lot of focus and dedication, right? I don't know how much time you actually put on a daily basis and a weekly basis while you are in school as well as right now. But working with the company as well as working with the FDA, interfacing with them, working on you know, so many technical aspects of how to modify, how to get the approval, all those things. You know, all in all, you know, everything requires a lot of integrity, patience, hard work, as well as you know, technology, actually, you know, technical aspects. It is very interesting, you know. As I said earlier, you know, I know your parents for many, many years, but, you know, they have worked a lot for where you are right now. And if there's anything else you both want to share to the audience that you think would be beneficial outside of what we actually discussed right now, we have like 2 more minutes, actually. Like some sort of advice, you know, advice to the audience, like what they can do, you know, something like that, general advice, quickly for 2 minutes.
I can go for a minute.
Right.
So I was reminded of this when my brother was talking about how he was involved in the Islamic Society at Harvard. I was also really involved in the Muslim Student Association at my university, and I think it's really important to find like a good group of friends. The Prophet ﷺ said that a man is upon the deen of his best friend, so look at the one whom a person befriends. So I really believe that having like the right friends can really make a really big impact like on your life. Like having the right friends, they can lead you to do like the right things. They can increase you in your religion. And like keep you on the straight path. So I think that it's really important to like look at who you make your friends, and also they'll help you like keep your sanity like throughout the course of college and even after that.
Okay.
So yeah, that was one thing that I think is really important. I also think that remembering to like keep Islam first throughout, like there's a lot of studying that goes on at college and in med school, and sometimes it can be hard to find a balance between like studying Islam or between studying, I don't know, physiology or computer science. But I think it's really important to like strive to make that balance. And I found that like whenever I start my mornings like with the Quran, then I always have like more barakah in my time, and I'm always like more productive throughout the day. So I think never sacrificing that is really important, even if it gets hard at times.
All right. Thank you, Nida, and thank you, Rahel. And before I wrap up, I just wanted to say thank you to both of you. And you both have provided a lot of very useful information, although most of it on the technology side. But it is very encouraging and very stimulating to the audience. And I would like to pay attention to the audience right now and ask if there are any questions. Actually, we have like 10 more minutes, and whatever questions you have, you can ask right now. I know most of you may have come with questions that may not have been covered in this discussion. Actually, we talked so much mostly on the computer science and the medical aspects. But if you have any questions that is not covered during this presentation, you can actually ask, or you can actually send in the form of email or messages to me or Sultan, and we will actually try to find answers to those questions, and also take this as an initiative for the next future sessions. You audience, please consider this as a starting point, and inshallah we can actually have more sessions, not particularly oriented, not oriented towards a particular topic or things like that. Depending on your questions, we can actually pool all those questions in a bank, and then we can collect the questions that are related to a particular topic, and then we can actually have sessions. And having said that, I would like to hand over to the next person.
Ghulam, before that, as part of the audience, I want to ask one question. It's a very simple and general, I think. For Nida and Rahul, if you have, any comments on that. These days, because of the COVID, a lot of kids are staying home, staying in front of the computers. They are having difficulty, not learning difficulty, at least they kind of frustrated, learning things like that instead of going to the class. They are all very excited doing a lot of things, but they're kind of, staying home and kind of discouraging them to learn what they really want to do. So I know, of course, you guys are going through the same situation now. So would you like to share information, any kind of encouragement for the younger, or, as a matter of fact, even college students? Do you guys have any kind of comments on that?
Okay, yeah, so I agree. Like, I also completed my first semester of med school online, and it was definitely really difficult. I wasn't able to meet all my classmates in the same way that I would have gotten to otherwise, and it would definitely felt more isolated than it otherwise would feel. But one thing that me and like the friends that I made, what we did was we would organize different times where we would all study online together. And that really helps you with accountability because there's someone like there staring you at your face, making sure that you're studying as well. And also, even if you know that someone's been like quarantining and everything, some of us would get together in really small groups and study together. And that's also really helpful. It keeps up the motivation, and everyone has different knowledge that they can share. Another thing that I do, especially because everything's online, and so I spend a lot more time at home, I would alternate how I go about my day, I guess. That doesn't make sense, but to explain, like, for example, I would spend an hour studying straight, and then for like the next 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever, I would take a break and do something that I like doing. I really like artsy stuff, so I might like go do artsy stuff. There's a really nice like biking trail outside, so I might go outside and bike around for a bit. I think getting outside and having like fresh air is always the best air. So when it gets like a little claustrophobic inside, I think that going outside is always like a really good way to re-energize and refresh and everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nida.
Sister Faisal, there was a question. Can you read that out, please?
Yes. So it seems that we have some more questions. Someone asked to both Nida and Rahul, what was your favorite class that you took in college?
So mine is completely unrelated to any of my like professional stuff, but I really enjoyed Shakespeare after Hamlet, which was also probably one of the hardest classes I took because we covered the entire non-historical work of William Shakespeare in the semester. So we would read 2 plays each week, and discuss them, have quizzes on them, write essays about them. And this is part of like a throwback to when I was growing up and our parents would expose us to all different kinds of fields. We were also exposed to literature. And so I really enjoy reading in my free time. And so just like going through all of Shakespeare's works, seeing how Hamlet was sort of like a turning point in the plays, and seeing like how the plays were different after Hamlet compared to before it was something I really enjoyed learning about in undergrad.
Nida, did you have a class like that as well that you wanted to share?
Yeah, mine is also similarly a literature class, but so my minor was medical humanities. So I took a lot of classes that were at the intersection of medicine and the humanities. So a lot of those classes included reading a lot of books. And one of my favorite classes was 20th century genocides. And we basically read a ton about genocides that happened throughout the 20th century. And it was really eye-opening and really inspiring, basically to like stand up for what's right and forbid what's wrong. Like the Prophet ﷺ like advised us to do. It was really inspiring to like take that class and learn about like all the different genocides that took place. It was a really difficult class to take just because it was so like emotionally taxing, but it was really, I think it was a really good class. And it was also a literature class as well. So yeah.
I'm really surprised to hear that, there are classes covering this type of topics actually. Very, very interesting. I think that actually teaches you, how far you have to be ethical, how ethical you have to be, when you are in your job, which is really good. I like it.
Yeah, that's very true. One thing that we talked about during that class was how much doctors were involved in genocides throughout history. Like doctors would, like doctors would even like promote genocides, conduct science experiments based on race, and basically put down different races. So it's really important, I guess, like you were saying, ethics is really important in whatever career. And it's really easy to overlook that, but it is very important.
Yeah, I know the last couple of days, you probably heard the news about Dr. Fauci and the lady who used to work for President Trump, but they were not allowed to say anything publicly, right? And they are able to speak openly now. And there was so much information that was actually blacked out to the public, actually. It looks like the president was actually showing something, data, like a graph, which the lady did not even see before. So, I mean, it's very interesting, what you do in college and what your career is going to be. I always talk to my friends, like people who graduate with a law degree, out of 100% lawyers, 50% are liars, right? Because one person says he works for the defendant and the other person is work for the opposite side. So it's 50-50. One of them is true, the other one is false. So, like how you go about it. I mean, these are things, that you can actually think about, but, it's actually a balance between your job as well as what you study in college, actually. But as long as, you are truthful, you are going to survive. All right. I hand back to Sultan.
Actually, there's a few more questions. Go ahead.
So it seems that someone asked, during COVID-19, what is a great way to get volunteer hours? And I also want to add more to that question. Nida, I know you're first year in medical school right now. So how are you getting outside opportunities for like throughout med school with COVID-19?
I think that's a really good question. Sorry. Yeah, so I think that's a really good question. It's also very important. So I think a lot of organizations, so I'm not too sure about how this would work in college, but I imagine it might be similar. But for me in med school, so a lot of the organizations that we work with, like there are different organizations on campus similar to in college that do volunteering with a ton of different like businesses or organizations, nonprofits and everything. So a a lot of the in-person opportunities have been like reduced because of COVID, but in place of that, I know a lot of nonprofits and organizations have started implementing online volunteering opportunities. For example, so one organization that I'm a part of is working with a dementia center, like a center that cares for people who have dementia. And before COVID, there would be opportunities for students to go in and personally work with those people. But after the whole virus and everything, they started having online sessions that were very similar. Like for example, they would do painting sessions or poetry sessions, and while these would before be in person, they're now doing them online. So I imagine that if there are certain volunteering organizations that you know of, if you maybe look at their website or reach out to them, I imagine that they might have online opportunities for you to take part in as well.
And I'd like to add to that there's even some places with more in-person opportunities than they used to have, particularly because of COVID. And especially for those of you with like elderly parents or grandparents that you're living with, doing something like this might not be a good idea. But I know that both of our local homeless shelters and the food pantry actually need a lot more help than they used to, because a lot of their volunteers are like old or immunocompromised, and they were regular volunteers before, but like aren't able to go as much nowadays. And so many places have actually started asking for like more help recently, particularly because of the pandemic as well.
Okay, I think that covers most of the questions. Someone also asked when to start taking dual credit and AP classes, and if you had a preference over the two. From back in high school, if you guys can.
Yeah, so I started taking them more or less as soon as I was able to. So like as many AP classes as early as possible. For me, I did take a couple of dual credit classes, but because I went to a private university afterwards, they didn't give me any credit for the dual credit classes, and they also didn't give me any credit for any of the AP classes that I took either. So for me, like the benefit of that was more learning things on a college level, the material itself, as well as the preparation that it gave me for college. But I'm sure it's different for Nida.
Yeah, I agree with Rahul about the taking as many AP classes as early as you can. I know some schools, they don't let you take certain AP classes until you're in a specific grade. But the ones that you can take, I definitely recommend taking. I personally didn't do any dual credit classes, so I can't really speak much to that, but I think AP classes are definitely like a great way to go.
Right, and I think that covers all of the questions we have in the chat right now. So I'll go ahead and.
I have a question actually. It's a general question to Nida as well as Rahil, and maybe to the audience as well. I know many people, they used to take courses in local colleges like community colleges, and then transfer the credits to their main college or university. Is it worth doing it? I mean, financially, it is actually cheaper to take courses in community colleges, right? But quality-wise and career-wise, is it something that you would recommend to take courses in, community colleges and then transfer to, your university? I mean, it's a general question. Nida can answer, Rahil can answer, or anyone. I know I have seen people, who took classes in community colleges and then transfer to, just because they have to take those courses, not because they are very helpful to their career. It's a requirement, so they take those courses. But how do you go about it actually?
Yeah, I can think of a couple situations where something like that would be useful. For me, I wasn't able to transfer like any outside credit, and many colleges have a policy where they don't accept any outside credit. So it obviously depends on which college that you're looking to transfer to. But like you mentioned, in the case that financially it would be difficult to go to college, it's very useful to take some of the more introductory level work at a community college and then transfer those credits over to a larger university later.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have one more question. This one is regarding Frisco ISD curriculum. It asked, do you think ISM is a good course to take in high school? Nida, Rahul, have you guys had experience with ISM? Okay, well, I'll take this one then. So I'm a senior in ISM right now, and I use ISM to basically have a mentor that's in a professional field. And my topic for this year is psychiatry. So with COVID-19, of course, everything's been virtual, but I would definitely recommend ISM if you're in the Frisco ISD area, because it definitely does allow you to connect with more professionals that are in fields that you might be interested in, but that you're not fully certain about going into. So I can vouch for ISM and say that it is beneficial. And I think that's basically about all the questions we have for today. So I'll go ahead and hand it off to Alia for closing.
Great, thank you, Faisal. So, mashallah, this was such a great session, and I wanted to take a quick moment to highlight Brother Rayan, who is also on this call. He is a 9th grader in this area, but he is not your average student. He has completed memorizing the Quran at age 11 while being an active member of Boy Scouts and his local robotics team. And so his accomplishments are very admirable, mashallah. So to conclude, on behalf of the Youth Wing, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the IDEA organizers and the community for their support. Again, thank you all for joining. We request all participants to please fill out the feedback form posted on the IDEA Youth Corner WhatsApp group. And now Brother Shahul Hamid will close the meeting with a dua.
MashaAllah, excellent presentation. Thanks to Brother Rahil and Sister Nida. Thanks to the whole youth team who organized this event. Thanks to Brother Kulam, Brother Sultan, Brother Ansari for the youth team support. Thanks to the parents and the kids who are watching this program right now. It is a good start for IDEA team on the youth front too. We had an inauguration just 2 weeks before, and the youth is our first priority for us and for the community, as you all know. Congratulations to the youth team for stepping up. You are the torch bearers and the future leaders of our community. Prophet ﷺ taught us to be perfect in everything we do. We should be putting our best effort in education. Education is the key for the future, as you all know. We should be good at our ibadah too, setting up a relationship with Almighty Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Surely He will guide us and all the way through up and downs of this journey. May Allah Subhanahu wa Taala guide us on the straight path. May Allah Subhanahu wa Taala bless us with knowledge that is beneficial to us and to the world. May Allah Subhanahu wa Taala help us continue this effort. May Allah Subhanahu wa Taala keep us consistent with our efforts too. May Allah Subhanahu wa Taala qualify and elevate us among the leaders of Muslims and to the world of medicine or technology or wherever you are going to be in your future, inshallah. Let me complete this dua with the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما ربي واجعلني مقيم الصلاة من ذريتي ربنا وتقبل دعاء ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك آمين آمين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum to everyone.
Walaikum salam.
Walaikum salam. Amin. Thank you, everyone, all the volunteers. Very good job. MashaAllah. Awesome. Good work. Thank you, Rahul and Nida, for your short notice and joining for us and give us some. We'll keep you for any other questions in the future. So thank you, everyone, for attending. Go ahead.
Before we close out, there are 2 more questions in the chat.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Mohammed.
So, number one, are there any spiritual challenges you have gone through while pursuing education? In other words, how did you balance your academic/spiritual?
I can start off with this one. So I think especially like in a science field, you're gonna come across a lot that might seem to, I don't know, maybe hurt your faith a bit. Like for me, always learning about, the Big Bang and evolution and all of that stuff, I would always wonder like, oh, how does this like fit in with Islam? Like, how do you reconcile the two? And I think it's really important. A lot of these questions, I feel like people think are taboo to ask, but I think it's really important that you ask these questions and ask them to the right people and try to seek out their answers. But yeah, like I was saying, I think really like finding the right friends is really important for this. If you have friends who are strong on their faith, that will also help you like be strong in your faith as well. And for any questions, I guess that people, oh my God, sorry, my cat. For any questions that people might have about their faith, or like maybe you're having doubts or something, I just want to put it out there that I'm always available to talk to anyone. I can drop my number somewhere or give it out. I don't know how this would work, but I really think that asking the questions is important and trying to get their answers. But yeah.
I just want to thank you, Nida, as well as Rahil, and you have made so much accomplishment. Thank you for your dad. Thank you to you, and wish you all the best in your college education as well as in your career. Thank you so much.
Shall we end this? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for having us here.
Great. Bye-bye.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, Ansari bhai. Hello.